Most people never stay poor because of money. They stay poor because of a story in their mind they never rewrite. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence, opportunities, or even discipline. They fail because they carry a quiet belief, buried so deep inside their thinking that they don't even notice it. A belief that shapes every financial decision they make. A belief that forms a ceiling above their life. And until this belief changes, nothing else will. Not their income, not their habits, not their future. People think wealth starts with knowing what to invest in, how to budget, or when to buy the dip. But wealth doesn't begin with action. It begins with perception, with how you interpret the world, with a single mental shift that silently separates people who remain stuck from those who quietly rise. Most people believe wealth is something external, something out there waiting for them. A lucky break, a higher salary, a better economy, a miracle moment when everything finally clicks. They imagine wealth as a destination they will arrive at someday, when life becomes easier, when the struggle ends, when they finally have enough energy, clarity, or time. But the people who actually become wealthy have a different understanding. They know that wealth is not a place, wealth is not an event, wealth is a mindset built long before the money arrives, and the mental shift that unlocks it is brutally simple. You don't get rich when circumstances change. You get rich when your identity changes. Identity is the most powerful force in human behavior. You will always behave, think, choose, and react in alignment with the person you believe yourself to be. Someone who sees themselves as bad with money will subconsciously avoid learning about it. Someone who believes wealth is for other people will never take the actions that create it. Someone who thinks in scarcity will always sabotage abundance. And someone who thinks they are stuck will stay stuck, even when the doors open. Most people never become wealthy because they never update the internal story that shapes their life. They try to change their actions without changing the narrator. The truth is, every person carries a mental script, an invisible operating system. For most people, that script was written by childhood, by the environment they grew up in, by the financial stress they absorbed without realizing it, by watching their parents argue about money or struggle to pay bills. That script becomes the lens through which they interpret their adult life. And here is the painful part. Even when their situation improves, their thinking stays the same. They bring a scarcity lens into a world of opportunity. They bring survival thinking into a world of possibility. They bring fear into a space that requires courage. And so they repeat the same patterns year after year because they have not learned the shift. But wealthy people, quietly, internally, break that script. Not because they are smarter, not because they were born lucky, but because at some point they change how they see themselves. They move from thinking, I hope I don't lose money, to I know I can create more. They move from I can't afford this to how can I afford this? They move from I wish things were different to I take responsibility for where I'm going. They don't see themselves as victims of circumstance, but as authors of direction. This shift, from passive to active, from reactive to intentional, is what opens the door to wealth long before any money arrives. What keeps most people from making this shift is not lack of knowledge, it's emotional gravity, the gravitational pull of old beliefs, the familiar comfort of old thinking. Scarcity feels safe because it's predictable. Caution feels smart because it avoids pain. Familiar patterns feel trustworthy, even when they are destroying progress. Most people are not trapped by their circumstances, they're trapped by their comfort zones. And the comfort zone of the mind is the most dangerous place a person can live. The difference begins when a person quietly decides to adopt a new identity. Someone who builds, someone who creates, someone who grows. Not someone who reacts to life, but someone who shapes it. This identity shift alters behavior automatically. When you see yourself as a builder, you start thinking long-term. When you see yourself as an investor, you start looking for opportunities. When you see yourself as someone capable of wealth, you begin to act in ways that attract it. The world doesn't change, but your interpretation of it does. Consider the moment when a person first decides to get fit. The change doesn't happen because they bought running shoes. It happens because they went from someone who wants to be healthy to a healthy person. The actions follow the identity. Wealth works the same way. You don't invest because you have money. You invest because you see yourself as someone who invests. You don't save because you're rich. You save because you've adopted the identity of someone who respects their future self. You don't improve your skills because life forced you to. You improve them because you see yourself as someone who grows. Most people never get rich because they wait for the world to bless them with clarity. But the mental shift is the opposite. Clarity comes after responsibility, not before it. The moment you stop saying, "The system is against me," and start saying, "I will find a way through," your brain begins searching for paths you never saw before. The moment you stop thinking in terms of limitation and start thinking in terms of leverage, opportunities that were invisible suddenly appear. Wealthy people aren't seeing a different world. They're seeing the same world through a different lens. But there is another layer that most people overlook: emotional capacity. Wealth requires more than knowledge. It requires resilience. The resilience to stay calm when things fluctuate. The resilience to delay gratification. The resilience to feel fear and still move forward. Most people don't fail financially because the path is too hard. They fail because the emotional discomfort is too unfamiliar. They want certainty in a world that rewards adaptability. They want guarantees in a world built on probability. They want comfort in a process that demands transformation, and so they retreat back to the identity they know, even if it keeps them small. The mental shift happens the moment someone realizes that wealth is not earned through intensity, but through identity. You don't need to become a different person. You need to stop being the version of yourself that believes wealth is impossible. You need to unlearn the patterns that kept you surviving instead of evolving. You need to challenge the instinct that makes you cling to fear instead of growth. The shift is not dramatic, it's quiet. It's the quiet decision that your life will no longer be shaped by who you were, but by who you are becoming. You don't need a new economy. You don't need a new strategy. You don't need a new opportunity. You need a new frame of mind, one that recognizes that wealth is built in the present, not discovered in the future. One that sees effort as investment, not sacrifice. One that understands that the small, consistent actions you take today are not chores. They are votes for the person you want to become. And when your identity rises, your decisions rise with it. When your decisions rise, your results rise. And when your results rise, your life rises. Most people never get rich because they keep waiting for permission to start. Permission from their past, permission from their environment, permission from some imaginary moment when they finally feel ready. But readiness is not an emotion, it's a decision. And the people who quietly rise in life are the ones who stop waiting and start shifting. They step into the identity of someone who builds, someone who grows, someone who takes responsibility for their direction. That mental shift, silent, internal, often invisible to the world, is what makes everything else possible. Wealth does not begin with money. It begins with the way you see yourself. The moment you update your identity, you update your future. And when that shift happens, you stop chasing wealth and start creating it.